We got Devin Gardner, former University of Michigan quarterback, has been on the show before. Now he's a Fox college football analyst, and you know he wants to gloat about his Michigan Wolverines. And Rob, let's talk about it. Jim Harbaugh, under fire for several years. I was one that thought, yes, he hasn't lived up to the contract, but he has returned Michigan to national prominence. They had been in the top 15 once in the previous 8 seasons before he got there. Well, can I finish? Can a brother finish?
Go ahead, finish. I just want before you glad-handing them before they lose Saturday.
They're actually called facts. That's all they're called facts. And now in his 6 previous years that he's been there, they were finished in the top 15 3 times. So I was like, look, I mean, Michigan, Robin, you know this as well as anyone. They've won 1 national championship. They won 2, actually. One back in like 1948 or something like that.
Yeah, but they used the pig in that game.
Yeah, really. I mean, right? In modern football, and I'm talking about since like the 60s or whatever, they've got 1 national championship. It was 1997 when they really, Rob, we know it, were mythical, right?
Right.
Were mythical titles back then. They didn't do it on the field necessarily. Right. They split that year. And so even in their heyday, they weren't the best program in the nation, and they weren't ever winning national championships. They just be good, be in the hunt, play in the Rose Bowl here and there. And he's gotten them back to that. But he hadn't won he was 1-4 in bowl games. He was 3-4 against Michigan State, still is. Lost the last 2. And he was 0-5 against the biggest rival, Ohio State. So he needed the win, and he got it. But you're right. They got to win tomorrow against Iowa. Or I wouldn't say it's all for naught. You know Michigan better than me, having worked there. Because beating Ohio State, obviously,
no, it's
valuable.
A big deal.
Right.
It's a big deal.
If they don't finish this off, Rob, come
on. I agree, okay, from the standpoint of, yes, the history is one that they revel in. Even Bo Schembechler, their legendary coach, who we know Chris is involved, still like his name with some bad stuff that went on with the doctor there and all that, okay?
Right.
But he's a legendary coach there who never won a national championship. Never.
Yep.
But they revere Bo Schembechler.
Their practice facility, and it's like a museum.
Yeah, he has a statue out front of the football office.
Right.
Yep. Bo Schembechler and all that. But he never won the big one. Right. Back then it was the what they say, the Big 2 and the Little 8 when it was the Big 10. It was Ohio State, Michigan, and the Little 8. That's what it was.
Let's stay there for a moment. I think it was Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan.
No, not
Remember
them.
how great Penn State was with
Right.
Joe Paterno? Penn State was phenomenal.
No, I know, but I'm saying what they always talked about, it was Ohio State and Michigan. I understand what you're talking about with Joe Paterno, but when they used to talk about the Big Ten, it was always about those 2 schools. Like that was the most important.
No, because Penn State did win national championships, or at least, a couple. He won it in 86. He won it in 82. So they were, if you want to say it was a big 3, but Penn State under Joe Paterno was a better program even than Michigan under
But
Schembechler.
they weren't rivals. They weren't rivals with those schools, Chris, is what I'm saying. There's no big Penn State, Michigan game.
Well, Ohio State, Michigan is the big game.
That's what I'm just saying. It was about those 2 schools. My point is that
because Penn State, they weren't. I don't even think they were. Were they not in the Big Ten?
No, that's what. No,
when did they join the Big Ten?
They moved to the Big Ten. That's what I'm saying. When Bo Schembechler, that's why I was like, it wasn't about Penn State back then.
Penn State they were a great program, but they were elsewhere, right?
Right. Okay, but they moved into the Big Ten.
1990, right? They joined the Big Ten in 1990.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. It was never about Penn State, but it was about Michigan and Ohio State, and the bottom line was about this. Michigan, Chris, went and got Jim Harbaugh because he was supposed to finally take them to that next level. Now that there was a college football playoff, right? Michigan wanted to be a part of it. It wasn't good enough with Brady Hoke and Rich Rodriguez, and those guys who were there before. So they were looking for Michigan to take that next step. I'm not saying they had to win a championship every year, but people were bummed out that they weren't in the mix at all, Chris. That was the thing that tarnished Jim Harbaugh, even when he was winning 10 games and whatnot, Chris, because he wasn't beating the top 10 or top 15 ranked opponents. He had a terrible record against them.
And he was paid so much.
And he was one of the top 4 coaches as far as salary in college football. And guess what? The other 3 in that 4, Chris, they all won a national championship. Right. The only guy who didn't was Harbaugh.
Right.
So,
and I said when they were messing with his contract, I said, look, I bring him back.
No, you said it for a pay cut.
Yeah.
But it also told you where he was, Chris, as far as being wounded. Because you don't see coaches with that name and reputation taking a pay cut in college football.
Right.
They're giving Lincoln Riley hasn't won anything, Chris. And you saw what USC gave him. Haven't won anything.
Yep.
I mean, 0. Think about that.
Been to the playoffs 3 times, but
he haven't won.
Yeah.
And he got a $6 million house in L.A. and he hadn't won one playoff game. Who was he, Matthew Stafford? I mean, seriously.
Well,
but anyway,
Rob, though, if you're in the hunt, you got to be in the hunt.
Okay.
Brian Kelly never won it,
but he
had Notre Dame.
Here's my
playoff.
point, though. I think they have to beat Iowa. I really do. I think they have to finish the job if you want to take a look at this season, because they came in there, what were they, 7-0, Chris, along with Michigan State?
Well, they lost to Michigan State.
No, right. But they were 7-0. They were both undefeated.
Yes.
They lose to Michigan State after leading at the half and the second half and giving it up.
They had that game. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Then they get the unbelievable win and blow out Ohio State. So now people are looking, going, is he going to seal the deal? Because if they win, they're going to be in the college football playoff, Chris.
Yep.
That's how big this is. And then it validates everything he's done, and his name is not, muddied, soiled, whatever it was.
He's a made man, finally. Wouldn't you say that? He'd be a made man.
Because that was why he went there. That was what he was brought there to do, was to get them in the college football playoff. So he would, mission accomplished. Did it take longer than we thought? 6 years, right? Longer?
This is 7th year,
7th year.
Yeah.
Did it take longer, Chris?
Yes.
But did he ultimately get there? Yes.
Well, I'm with you. They got to beat Iowa. And I get it. They all love him now because he finally beat Ohio State. You've had a great season. But, Rob, they got to beat Iowa. Iowa's number 13. All right? You can't – and look, beware of Ohio State. And I'm not saying – this is not taking anything away from Michigan. But Ohio State demolished Michigan State the week before they played
Demolished.
Michigan. That's not even a strong enough word. 56-7. All right? And did that have some impact on them? They're human beings, and they're 19 and 20-year-old human beings, Rob. Did they think
maybe they thought that they were?
Maybe a little Michigan. I know they prepared. It's a rivalry. I'm sure Ryan Day got them up for the game.
Right.
But is it human nature to even subconsciously be like, man, Michigan State beat them? And look at what we did to Michigan State. You know what I mean?
Right.
And next thing you know, you're in a dog fight. And they got all the momentum, and you can't get it back. And so Michigan, I get celebrating like they'd won the Rose Bowl, Rob.
It was a long time coming. Yep. And normally, Chris, I would be against that. But to lose to your arch rival and have your guy who played for Bo Schembechler, who was the star quarterback
from Ann Arbor too. I believe.
Comebacks from Ann Arbor. He's a native, like his family is from Ann Arbor, Michigan. I mean, he's the prodigal son, and I think that's why I looked the other way when they went crazy, because I think it was just built up, and they couldn't believe it because they weren't favorite after what Ohio State did to Michigan State. Most people thought they were going to lose.
Yeah, I thought they were going to lose by 2 to 3 touchdowns, and I was stunned by how well they played. And it was great. It was a great win. But at one point, I think they were up to number 3 or 4. I mean, they're a good football team, but I've watched them. They're not. Michigan should beat them.
Okay, so they should beat them. What's the spread in that game? Where is it? Is it
Rob
Michigan's
G
a favorite?
Check that out.
Rob
I don't
G.
know what the spread is, but yeah, Michigan got to get it done, and we will see.